We're here at the Los Angeles Auto Show, and behind me is this year's biggest debut, the 2017 Fiat 124 Spider. The 124 Spider is built on top of the all-new Mazda MX-5 Miata, but it doesn't use the same naturally aspirated engine that the Miata does. It has a 1.4-liter turbocharged inline-4, which can be bolted to either a 6-speed manual transmission or an automatic. Seeing how the 124 Spider is based on the Mazda MX-5 Miata, we can expect that it's going to handle very, very well. It shares the same basic chassis and suspension components as the Mazda does. But as you can see, the Fiat 124 Spider looks nothing like the Miata it's based on. It's a lot more snub-nosed, it has more flat sides, and frankly, I think it's not as sexy as the sleek and curvy Mazda Miata. But still, we're really excited to get behind the wheel of it.
So here's the 2016 Mazda CX-9, and as great as the last CX-9 was to drive, this one promises to be even better, and that's because of a huge dedication to engineering. And that really comes down to primarily this new 2.5-liter Skyactiv turbo engine. It's the first application of a turbocharged Skyactiv engine. It makes 250 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, and that torque comes as early as 2,000 RPM. Mazda has tuned this engine to not need to go over 3,000 RPM, because most people when they drive also don't need to go over 3,000 RPM. Mazda's put a lot of engineering know-how into making this engine torquey and responsive. It works with the same 6-speed automatic transmission as before. But really, some of the biggest improvements are to the interior. There's a much better use of materials, from aluminum to leather to real Japanese wood. There's just a more premium feel to the car inside and out. In addition to that Mazda feeling of connection to the road that we love so much from all their cars, from the Miata to the Mazda 3, there's also supposed to be 200 pounds less weight in this car and 20% better fuel economy. The new CX-9 looks super sleek, super athletic, and also really nice and planted. And that really comes from the best evolution of the Kodo design language that we've seen so far, particularly on an SUV, which are becoming increasingly important for Mazda.
It's a bit of a tease, this 2017 Buick LaCrosse. It's got the new grille design and the 3-colored emblem, plus a flying bridge center console made possible by a new 8-speed electrically controlled automatic transmission, all previewed by that rear-wheel drive-based Avenir concept we saw at the Detroit show in January. The LaCrosse remains a front drive-based car. Buick says this is an all-new platform. It succeeds the Epsilon 2 platform. This one's a little bit longer, has a longer wheelbase, a little bit lower to the ground, and it has GM's new 3.6-liter V6 engine. It has nothing to do with the old 3.6-liter engine. This engine makes 304 horsepower. Well, it's still no Avenir. It's very nicely detailed. It's got a very nice interior with soft leather seat surfaces, a very convincing fake wood grain interior, and it's very comfortable, feels very good with lots of padding on the door panels and on the dash. So the new LaCrosse design takes this Buick up market from where it was before, placing it nicely somewhere in the middle between the Chevy Impala and the Cadillac XTS. Still, it's no Avenir.
If you climbed out of your hot tub time machine at Kodiak Valley Resort, you might expect to see this extreme purple paint job on the Jeep Wrangler backcountry right there on the slopes, or maybe out of a Vision streetwear skateboarding catalog from the late 80s, early 90s. That analysis wouldn't be far off, because this color is actually inspired by the colorful gear rocked by X Games athletes during the Winter X Games. The backcountry comes equipped for handling winter conditions. You've got steel front bumpers for crashing through ice and snow, steel rock rails, and rugged BFG KO2 tires for handling snow and icy conditions. The Wrangler backcountry is our pick of all the limited edition Wranglers. If for no other reason, then you're definitely not going to see yourself coming the other way. They're only going to build 4,000 of these vehicles for 2016, and then it's going to be finished. And it's not every day you see an extreme purple Jeep Wrangler.
Lincoln is desperate to differentiate itself from Ford, and this updated MKZ is a step in the right direction. It's not an all-new car, but it does have an all-new face from the Continental concept that will eventually go onto all Lincoln models. It also has a twin-turbo 3-liter V6 that's new and will be exclusive to Lincoln. It makes 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque, which is a lot of power for a car this size, and it pairs with all-wheel drive and has torque vectoring, so the handling should match the power.
Just when you thought that the departure of the Nissan Murano Cross Cab meant that nobody would really attempt this segment ever again, the Land Rover Range Rover Evoque Convertible actually reminds you that dropping a top off an SUV can look good. Although it does add 1,000 pounds to an already heavy SUV, now you can enjoy off-roading in open-top weather. It has a cloth top that can be moved at a speed of up to 30 miles an hour, 18 seconds to raise, 21 seconds to lower. And although the cloth top does occupy a decent amount of space in the back, you can still easily fit 4 passengers and 1 golf bag through the back. But there's also a nice space for a 6-pack of beer, which will keep the people in Germany happy as well as here in the US. So part of that 1,000 pound weight gain is also a huge effort to stiffen this chassis. Land Rover wanted to make sure that the Range Rover Evoque convertible was every bit the off-roader that the Evoque was. And that effort's really been translated here, although it does cost quite a bit of weight. No matter how crazy or silly you think this is, we really can't help deny that it actually looks pretty good.
Porsche debuted this, the Cayman GT4 Clubsport, which it plans to homologate for racing series like the Pirelli World Challenge. Now, this isn't just a Cayman GT4 with more aero-focused bodywork and a stripped-out interior. The suspension for the Cayman GT4 Clubsport has been plucked directly from a 911 GT3 Cup car, and the standard manual transmission that you regularly get on the Cayman GT4 is gone, replaced now by Porsche's quick-shifting dual-clutch PDK automatic. Now, I think it goes without saying, but this thing, it's not street legal, but you'll see it on a racetrack in the not-so-distant future.
The small crossover segment is really hot right now, and Toyota's going to jump in with this Scion CHR. This car behind me is actually a concept, which explains its extreme design, but the production crossover that's going to launch next year will probably look pretty wild too. That's not a bad thing, because if you look at the success of cars like the Nissan Juke, it's very weird looking, but it's done well in the market, and this could be a good competitor and a big breadwinner for Scion.
VW of America chief Michael Horn spent much of his press conference talking about the 2.0-liter Volkswagen diesel scandal. He said that about 120,000 of the customers who have bought diesels from Volkswagen since 2009 have accepted the $500 buyer loyalty card. And that's about a quarter of the number of diesels sold in this country since that date. To divert attention from that a little bit, he showed us the new VW Dune, which is a production version of a concept car shown in Detroit in 2014. It's about 0.4 inches taller than the standard Beetle. It has the 1.8-liter gas turbo 4-cylinder engine and comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission. It has special interior trim and a special exterior paint color. The Coupe version goes on sale in February, and then the convertible version goes on sale the third quarter of next year. So VW is doing these special editions to keep the Beetle alive as kind of a fashion statement. This ought to extend the value of the brand for a few more years, and I think we'll see a pretty good year for the Beetle next year.
And this is the last car on our list, number 10 of 10, the all-new 2016 Honda Civic Coupe. It's a two-door version of the Honda Civic sedan that went on sale just a couple weeks ago. And like the sedan, it will be available with 2 powertrains, a naturally aspirated 2-liter VTEC inline-4 and an all-new 1.5-liter turbocharged 4. The Honda Civic Coupe is actually just as wide as its sedan brother, but it looks a lot wider because Honda has sucked in the rear windows and also flared out the rear arches a little bit. So while it's on the same track as the sedan, it looks a lot sportier and a lot more sucked down to the ground. The Civic Coupe has a similar taillight treatment to the sedan, but it has a light bar that extends across the entire back end. While it might be hard to believe, the front of the Civic Coupe's roof is actually higher than the highest point on that rear antenna. The Honda Civic Coupe is just one of the 10 amazing cars that debuted at this year's Los Angeles Auto Show. Make sure to visit automobilemag.com in the coming weeks and months to see when we get behind the wheel of these new cars from the Los Angeles Auto Show.